Hey guys, welcome back. Today we are making sauces and I am so excited to show you some of the ones I make in my kitchen all the time. Sauces are such a broad food group that it really is hard to define which ones are the best. They're served on top of a meal, on the side for dipping, cooked into a recipe, or you have 6 different ones out at a time to dip one single chicken tender. If you're anything like me, you could also argue that it's more cost effective to just purchase pre-made sauces at the store, especially if you do not have a well-stocked pantry. But I'm hoping today that I can show you some of my favorites that I use regularly and that use similar ingredients to one another that you might not have as hard a time as you think making multiple things while rotating everyday kitchen ingredients. Some of these are perfect if you have a random item in your house that you need to use up, or if the thought of paying $4 for something makes you cringe when you have almost every ingredient to make it and you might only need to buy $1 ingredient that you can use multiple times over. Sauces are also an easy and cost-effective way to elevate a simple meal, and changing the sauce can change up the flavor profile entirely. Before we get into these recipes, I do want to say that this video is focusing primarily on the preparation of these sauces, but I am making meals with most of them just to show you how I would normally prepare them. I'm also not going to go over each individual recipe in this video, as that's a lot of measurements for everyone to remember. So just to keep it as easy as possible, I have created recipe cards in a downloadable PDF that's linked in the description box below. Each recipe has some substitution options as well as preparation instructions. You don't need to create an account for anything or give me your email address. You just need to click the link. It will take you to my Google Drive folder and you can download it to your own device. I've also included 2 recipes, honey mustard and garlic parmesan, that I made in previous videos, but I did not include them in today's video, but recipes for them are on the PDF. As always, any questions that you may have, please ask me in the comments below. I will do my best to get back to you in a timely manner, at least for the foreseeable future. And now let's get into these recipes. Taking it back to using sauce to elevate a simple dish, this is a perfect example. I made these croquettes out of canned salmon and dried potato flakes, but they needed something more, so I'm using this lemon and dill sauce to add a creamy and tangy element to them. The sauce is so easy and consists of items you may already have. All you do is mix together the mayo, plain yogurt, fresh garlic, garlic powder, and dill. Yes, fresh garlic and garlic powder, mainly because I like a lot of garlic, but honestly, add one or the other if that's more your style. And if you don't have fresh dill, you can use dried, but if you bought some dill to use for a recipe and have some sitting in your fridge ready to go bad, this is a perfect way to use it up. And just for reference, I'm having the recipe in this video because it's only me for lunch today. To keep it going with the yogurt and dill, we're going to make some tzatziki. This is easily one of my favorite things to make because it's so versatile. I love it with chickpea salad, gyros, falafel, veggie plates, and even pizza if I'm feeling adventurous. This is made by removing the seeds of a cucumber, shredding and then pressing out the excess moisture with a towel, and then I add all of the ingredients into a bowl and let it sit for a while before serving. This recipe calls for olive oil, which is arguably the best, but avocado oil would work fine as well. I wouldn't recommend something like vegetable oil, but honestly, if that's all you have access to, then use it because the oil in it really does create a better mouthfeel in the finished product. I made this tzatziki to have with some meatball gyros as a really quick dinner. I used frozen meatballs because I feel like they have a really similar texture to the Euro meat you might get from a stand. So I seasoned them up with some Cavender's Greek seasoning, baked them, and then assembled my gyros with some lettuce, onion, tomato, and raw onion. The sauce really gave the meal a more fresh taste from using pre made meatballs and made it much more satisfying. The next sauce we're going to make is enchilada sauce, or I guess the next two sauces because we are making some yogurt crema as well. This crema is not a traditional recipe as that is typically made by culturing heavy cream with buttermilk. But if you don't have those things and still want a tangy topping for your tacos, nachos, or enchiladas, you can make a simple version with plain yogurt or sour cream and some lime juice. Mix your ingredients together with a little milk to thin it out, and if preferred, put it in a squirt bottle for serving. This will last about 2 weeks in the fridge, and you can use it on pretty much anything you would put sour cream on. The enchilada sauce we're making is similar to a Tex Mex style gravy. As I've mentioned before, I am constantly unimpressed with canned enchilada sauce, especially the red kind. If you've ever looked at the ingredients list on something like the old El Paso brand, it's water, tomato puree, modified cornstarch, and only 2% or less of seasoning. No, thank you. Admittedly, this recipe does require a decent amount of pantry staples, but I promise if you love Mexican food, especially enchiladas, it's worth having these in your home all the time. To make this, you're going to make a roux in your saucepan, then add the seasonings into bloom. Next, you're slowly going to add in your water and whisk it together well so that there are no lumps. I would say the minimum amount of water you're going to want to use for this is 1.5 cups. Otherwise, it's way too thick. Next, you're going to add your tomato sauce, vinegar, and sugar. This cooks at a simmer for about 20 minutes so all the flavors can meld together, and you do stir it pretty regularly. You can also add more water if you prefer a thinner sauce. I usually use right about 2 cups. And if you don't want this much sauce at a time, you can pre-mix your seasoning and only use half or a third of it to make only as much as you need. Obviously, reduce the amount of flour, oil, and water as well. As you can see, I'm not baking these. I really prefer a stovetop enchilada. So I heat up my corn tortillas, then dunk them directly in the sauce, add my toppings, and then cook them so that they get a little bit of color on them. Cover them with some sauce, melt some cheese, and we're ready to plate. Okay, so jokes aside, my dad did send me this huge box full of seasonings. If we are making a bunch of sauces this episode, this is a good opportunity to remind you that you can make your own spice mixes as well. He makes for our family what we call the old man spice blend, and I put it on so many different things. So he was kind enough to record a video to show you how he makes it.
Okay, here's basic ingredients of the old man spice: corns, coarse ground, salt, cloves, whole cloves, a little bit of ground coriander, onion flakes, garlic, a little cayenne, could be paprika, a coffee grinder, mustard seed preferably, but ground is fine, some cumin, and rosemary. Now I like it about a little pepper forward, so I put about 70% pepper and 30% rough coarse salt. Normally I would use rock salt. a tablespoon of mustard. Then I will do a tablespoon of onion, tablespoon of garlic, a tablespoon of cumin. I usually put about 4 or 5 cloves in, maybe just a teaspoon of cayenne or paprika, depends on what you like. Last thing is the coriander. I don't put a lot in there. I just put, oh, I don't know, maybe half a teaspoon or so. Get it? Then I like to put a decent amount of rosemary in there. And it's all magic. I have it on maximum coarseness. Rock and roll. Then when she's all ground up, put in a nice watertight can or whatever. Give it a good stir and use it every day.
Okay, now we're changing the region completely again and moving more into East Asian flavors, and we're starting with sweet and sour sauce. This sauce is also perfect if, like me, you have little ones in your house that eat multiple cans of pineapple a week and you're running out of things to do with all that juice. This sauce you can cook in a saucepan just like the enchilada sauce. You would prefer it more like a dipping sauce, or if you're making it ahead for something else. But I'm choosing to mix everything into a bowl, starting with the cornstarch into the soy sauce so that there are no lumps, mixing everything together in a separate container. I made some lightly breaded and pan fried pieces of chicken breast and broccoli. So after all that was cooked, I put it back into a pan on medium heat and poured the sauce mixture over everything. Within 2 minutes, the sauce is already starting to bubble, thicken up, and change the color a bit. I slowly stirred everything as it cooked and then served it over some white rice. The great thing about this recipe is you can substitute the pineapple juice for orange juice and add a bit of orange zest and ginger, and you've got an awesome orange sauce recipe. All right, so we're nearing the end now and making some teriyaki sauce. This would technically be considered more of a Western style teriyaki sauce, as teriyaki is traditionally a Japanese style of grilling meats with a sweetened glaze. But if it's all the same to you, I love a good sauce, and teriyaki is a very good sauce. This is made much the same as the sweet and sour by combining everything into a bowl, making sure it's mixed well, and cooking it in a sauce pot by bringing to a boil and reducing the temperature to a simmer, stirring it as it cooks down. I usually make this sauce two ways. One is as a cooking sauce where I mix in the cornstarch, as the recipe says, which creates a thicker sauce, and the other is omitting the cornstarch and using it exclusively as a marinade, which is what I'm doing in this video. Cook the sauce and let it cool completely before adding it to my chicken and marinating it overnight. This creates a beautiful, sticky, and sweet glaze on the chicken that I served over rice with some sesame stir fried cabbage. This meal was so delicious, and to be honest, there really isn't much more to say than that. Okay, now this last one might be my favorite, and understandably, this might be the most out there one that a lot of people might not even be willing to try. But if you like strong umami and spicy flavors, then you might want to give it a shot. This is called Priknam Pla and is a very common and traditional Thai table condiment. I keep fish sauce and lime in my fridge most of the time, so as long as I have a couple peppers, this is really easy to whip up. Today I used serrano peppers, which are just available at my local Walmart, and I mixed the fish sauce, lime juice, sliced peppers, and garlic together, then let it sit for 20 minutes or so while I cooked up a few of these frozen wontons. This was a super quick lunch to make for myself while it was just me and the baby at home, and I really like to load up each of these in the sauce. You can adjust the ratio of fish sauce and lime according to your taste, but honestly, the peppers are an absolute must for this sauce. So if you don't like spicy, this one might not be the one for you. All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you hit that thumbs up down below. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. I post every Saturday, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.